Hi guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or anytime you are getting to watch this. My name is Oluwapelumi and I'm the host of this show. So this show is just about us bringing to you people that we can learn from their experience, well of knowledge, believers. So I have with me our own very own man of God that have spent his life serving diligently in this household of GSFOAU. So I have with me the ex-wife president of Obafemi Awolowo University, GSF, Obafemi Awolowo University, GSF. That's right, right? Pastor John.
Yeah, hi guys, how you doing?
So can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is John Olayinka Omotosho. Like she said, I served as the pastor for 10 years in GSF Obafemi Awolowo University, and I served as the Austrian head actually before I became the pastor, and I finished as the best graduating student in my department. I mean, there were two first class graduates. I was one of them. Then the BGS of my department,
So the CGPA.
4.71.
All right. So it's such an honor to have you around here. So let me just take it from where you said you served in different capacity in the
Yeah.
fellowship. How was serving like for you?
Service actually was not easy, you know. Starting out as someone initially, I was not very, very interested in church and all. Like in my part one days, I was all about doing academic stuff and all. But I just started to like change my direction and say, okay, I want to be serious with God. And at the time that I was serious, like a setup, because that was the time I think GSF actually had to leave, GSF we had to leave our fellowship center in the academic area. So we had to leave that place. So went to a place where we had to be carrying chairs every day. It was like set up for me. So that experience sort of almost, made me feel uncomfortable. Like, why now? Why is it now that I decided to get committed with God that this is happening? But I found out that the strength to actually, run through those processes was actually made available for me. From carrying chairs to Alex Udiemi Hall to, going to religion ground and having a building there and different things happened in the process, but I actually saw God supplying the strength was there for me, and it really helped me to stand strong, right, and finish well on campus.
All right, that's amazing. I mean, so from what you said that God actually supplied the strength. So that leads me to the other question. You said that um like now you are the BG, you graduated as the BGS
Yes.
of your department. It's just not for like you didn't escape to be so like a solid CGPA. How do you balance spirituals? Because I mean being a pastor of like 100 congregation over and like 200,
150
yeah,
initially, then 250 was in.
that's a lot. So how did you balance it? How did you balance your academics and your spirituals?
So I think the first thing for me usually when I get asked a question like this, thank you for the question. All right, so is that people usually have it in their mind that this their life is so like is difficult. You just have to pick one or the other. The first thing, like you said, is balance. Like find a way to balance it, and it's possible to balance. All right, I've seen people do it, and I did it myself, and it worked for me. So it was such that I had just my priorities set right. I made up my mind that as a student I was going to do two things. Right, which was my academics and God. Like I wanted to serve God. Like that when I leave this space, I want to be able to say, oh, I really served God while I was on campus. So that was like the first thing for me. So I set my priorities that two things, God and my academics. And I really stayed with it because there were times where distractions came up, things that looked very, very nice as like opportunities just get sweet off my feet. But I maintained my stand. I was like, my two focus for now, right? For now, yeah, while I was on campus was that I was going to focus on God and my academics. And when I made that decision, then certain instructions started coming. Right, I had instructions, because there's this approach you have to our academics, such that you feel like, is God really interested and all of that. But the Bible taught us again and again and again that if you need wisdom, ask God, or if you need, Daniel, did a lot of things in Babylon for the Lord, and he brought God to the king, he brought King Nebuchadnezzar to his knees and all of those things. So I recognized that God could actually help me. So what did I do? I started asking questions like, how do I read? When do I read? Like basic things like, okay, when should I, like, when is the time? Like which time do you think works best for me? like as a person because he made me, right? He created me. He knows what works for me. So he said, how do I? I mean, he started giving specific instructions that okay, this is how to read. This is when to study. This is when not to study. I mean, it was then even pressures came because on OAE campus, we are not reading at night. Are not reading at all. All right. If you are sleeping at night, you're not reading at all. I'm like, okay, how will I manage as a pastor or as a, I mean, ushering member? We will go from like maybe 5 p.m. in church, then I'll come back by 11 p.m. That's like 6 hours in church. I was not sitting, I was most likely standing, carrying chairs and all of those things. Then you want me to go and read immediately. It won't work. So God gave me the wisdom, that supernatural wisdom to sleep first, right? And it worked, right? And my friends would go to read. I used to feel bad at some point, like, am I serious in my life like this? So, but I will sleep first. After sleeping, when they come back from, I mean, the night class, they will wake me up that, oh, John, open the door for us. Then at that time, I will pack my book, dust it by 4 a.m. around, I mean, 4 a.m. Go and read 3 hours, effective 3 hours. I was not dozing. Most of the persons that most likely went to the night class were most likely sleeping, right? And they will come back, oh, Shannon, I can't even touch you. This is the book that we read, what's like that. So I really allowed God to guide me. That was like the word. And it's the summary of the answer is that I allowed God to guide me. I allowed God to give me the wisdom. I allowed God to, show me the way to go. And I mean, it says He will tell us the way to walk. And of course, if you are wise as a child of God, you will respond positively to those instructions. That's basically
Is you notice that his balance is still in God. Like
yeah.
he got his balance as a student in God. So although you've kind of talked about how your study schedule was, can you just take us through how you studied as a student? Because I mean, God factor was like the constant for you, but then there was human effort. I mean, you
Yeah.
didn't just become BGS because you were declaring out so I told that I want to be the BGS, I want to be the BGS. So what was your study schedule like? Looking at the responsibility that you have to, I mean, you have people that will reach out to you, Pastor, let's have a meeting, and all of those, like, and the likes. So, how did you balance, how did you, like, your study schedule? What was it like?
There's a thing that my friend used to say that of all things, I don't refuse meetings. Like I don't like if you call me tonight, like, oh, I want to see you now. I'm there. Like I'm gonna be there. So they'll be like, okay, when did you now read? Like, how are you doing it? Right. So actually for me, like I said, like I mentioned earlier, it was that was in part two that I'll wake up by 4 a.m., read till like 7, and but it was not like that all through my stay on campus because as I grew as a Christian, I knew that you have to be serious with your morning devotion. Then I was not really you could do it anytime now. Just do Jesus, I thank you, and all of that. But when I got to part three and more responsibility was committed to my hand, that was when I became the ushering head. I knew that you have to be serious. Like you have to pray to God. You have to study the Bible. So that morning was sort of dedicated to God. It was dedicated to God. So when do I now read? Like how do I read? God brought the wisdom in between classes. All right. There's my classes are 1 hour, 2 hours those days. So there's always a gap in between those classes. At least 2 hours break in between my classes. I'll go and read it those 2 hours. I was not waiting for I need 13. Some people want to like I need 13 hours to read. Like I want that long stretch, undistracted period of reading. But it doesn't work that way, right? As a student, you have to like maximize the opportunities that you have. So for me, the wisdom was in between classes. Go to a place, there was a place that saved me on campus, was Faculty of Science Library. Although it's not really functional now at the moment, but that place was where I'll just go, hide my head, read 2 hours. Once I'm done, pack my book, go out and go back to my class and all. So that was like the wisdom I had. Did I read for 13 hours? Yes. Like I've read for 13 hours while sitting once and I didn't stand up. Like I enjoyed myself. But did I always read for 13 hours? No. There were days that there was no 13 hours to read. I needed to use what I mean, being the pastor, like you mentioned. I mean, there are days where, oh, hello, John, this is this. I want you to do this for me. I want you to do that for me. Or I want you to go for this assignment and all of that. Or my friends call me like, I want to see you. This is going on. That's going on. I don't say no actually. They know. I would not say no. I would show up for the meeting. And but what have learned is that there's just this, I call it them unaccounted hours nowadays. That time you take gisting, do other things that are not really adding value to you. You could actually channel those things to productive endeavors, which is your academics. I mean, your year primarily for your academics. So I feel like those periods you could actually engage your studies. People want to wait till it's night time oh, when it's night time, I will read. That's the perfect time. But the truth is, you're most likely tired, right? That may not even work for you. It's because maybe you heard on campus that, I mean, oh, you made it so free that you can work any time of the day. So it meant that I can easily wake up. Some people don't wake up from, I mean, every night, and they saw that it's a consistent trend, and they still did not change, right? I mean, you can, some people will go to night class, you will sleep all through, come back feeling like boss. Like, okay, you slept or you read. Which one did you do? Do you get that now? So I feel like it's that wisdom, reading in between classes, when knowing when to, oh, 2 hours. If there's 2 hours, I'll do 2 hours. If there's 3 hours, I'll do 3 hours. If there's 1 hour, I will appreciate it, right? And I will do it. And if there's 13 hours to read, come on, this is, I mean, this is where you can stretch as much as you want. Just keep on reading, enjoy yourself. So I think that's basically what I have to share on
Mm.
my reading schedule.
Okay. So you see, for people that are complaining that your 24 hours is not enough for you to read, I just learned to do that. There's something called unaccounted hours. So those little breaks in your what's the name, in your timetable that you just hang around the department. You can look for a spot where you can read. All right, so back to the question, Pastor. Do you have any friends, as youth or as human, they would say that we should have somebody that we look up to? Was there any point in your life that you just feel like, I want to be like this person academically? Because I mean, if we are being truthful, the milestone of being a BGS is actually not easy. I mean, it's either you do it God's way or you look for any like the in legal way to do things. And because you're a believer, you have to stand your ground. I believe, yes.
Yeah, I
That
did. I
you
did.
you you like you stand your ground to get it the God way. So was there anybody that you looked up to in that kind God, like in God way, like, this person is academically sound, I just want to be like this person? Or is there like a notion, like probably something happened that just spur, like some of us, I don't know, Sha. Maybe some people are be at this. You want to read, right? But there are discouragement. So you have to look at somebody. I mean, a lot of people will definitely be looking up to you now because how Pastor John did it. So maybe I can. So was there anybody like that that you had that you're looking up to academically?
Okay, I think first things first. I mean, you mentioned something. Thank you for the question. Actually, you mentioned something. While you were asking the question, you mentioned that the legal way or the legal. Okay, the first thing I did, I mean, in part one was to settle it in my mind that it's just God. It has to be this legal way or not. Like there was this time that in part one that so that was when I learned that I must always sit in front. You could ask my colleagues, you could ask my friends. Anytime I'm going to the exam hall, my mind is always on how will I get the front seat. There are days where unfortunately the invigilator will say, oh, they will reshuffle us and sometimes I fall in the middle. But if we are at the choice of where to sit, I was aiming for the front. I would sit in front because I mean, like you said, Daniel proposed in his heart. So I proposed in my heart since part one that I was going to do this the God way. And of course, God did supply the strength. So you asked that
Was there anybody you were
was
looking
there
up
anybody I
to?
was looking up to, or was there any scenario that motivated me?
Yeah.
Right. I think the scenario that actually motivated me as a student was actually my sister. My sister finished from this campus, and she really did. She put in a lot of effort, but quite unfortunately, she not finished with the first class. All right, and it was a thing she so much desired. And every time I read, so it just comes to my mind that, oh, we can actually make her proud. All right, we can actually do this. All right, we can do this. We can make can bring this can I mean change the narrative this time around, right? Because she did a lot. She I mean just I think it narrowly I think she had a 4.48 in her finals. So it was so painful. It was so painful for me. It was painful for the family. But I just in my mind that was so if there's a motivation like a certain motivation as a student, it was that oh my sister almost got it and she didn't. Certain factors were in the picture. I mean, some we can share, some we cannot share. But that sort of motivated me that okay, John, we can actually do this, alright? We can make everybody happy. We can put Jesus' name on everybody's lips and say okay, Jesus can do it. He did it for me, can do it for you.
Wow, that's a motivation right there. I'm motivated by Pastor John. Everybody. All right,
Thank
so
you.
I want to ask that. What advice? Okay, yeah. Before I go there, like, was there any points where you suffered academic setback? It may not really be big setback because I mean your CGPA is screaming, not a little bit of setback. But like, is there any point where you reached and you felt like, no, this is setback? Like John, you have to you
Mm,
have to come back. Was there any point
I think
in
I had
time?
two like that.
Oh
Two,
wow,
two
too.
scenarios. And the first was in part one. Yes, part one. I had a B in mathematics.
Oh, that's a setback. B is a setback. Oh, guys.
B is, and of course, it's a
Yeah.
5 unit course. So imagine a B on your, I mean, your first semester as a undergrad that is studying computer engineering, that chose computer engineering because they love mathematics. You'll be like, it's a lot
Oh,
of
it's a setback
a
for
lot of
real.
things going through my mind. Like, am I really up to this? Like, can I really handle this? Like, B in mathematics. I mean, I was expecting an A with all like
What's the
D
B like? Is it 60 what?
60 on the
Okay,
so,
it's a setback.
so yes, I mean, my friend had to be telling me that it's even good as CB. Maybe he had a C or
See,
something. So it occurred to me that, hey John, I mean, I was almost broken because I mean this was me that picked up the jam bronchio and I wanted to study medicine initially. So
oh wow.
I saw
You still be with us as me and studying medicine.
yeah, yeah, all right. So I saw I spoke to my teacher on campus, I mean, in school, then in secondary school. I said, just go and take the jam because the conversation was that if I was going to study medicine, I can't do mathematics. I was like, I'll do biology instead of mathematics. Yeah, I can't do that one. Yeah, I don't really, I like biology, but I don't really like biology like that.
Format.
Yeah, I prefer mathematics. I mean, I knew that would be my strong point as a student, and that's one of the things you should know as a student. Know your strong points and know the things that you're not good at, so that you can easily complement your strengths and all. But going back to my story, so I knew that I loved math a lot, so I had to go to the jam book. And when I saw the jam book that year on computer engineering, the requirement was further mathematics. And that's my guy. Like mathematics was my guy, so I chose computer engineering. So coming from someone that chose computer engineering because of mathematics, having a B, a
B.
60
A
B,
God save me
God
B.
save me B, Oriyami B. All right, it was a lot. It was a lot on my mind that time. But and that was the only B I had in mathematics. Right.
Oh
You
wow.
see, so and that's the thing, setbacks happen, right? It happens, but it shouldn't be that you remain down, right? You should pick up the lessons. What did I learn? I didn't go to class. I felt overconfident, and my parents used to correct me of that. Don't be overconfident. You may know it, but you don't actually know it, right? You think you know it, but you don't. So I think that was one of the things that we used slap on my face hard in part one first semester. That you think you know set, I mean, it was set theory and all. I got to the test. It looked like German. So as though I was reading German. Like I didn't understand anything. So that sort of changed my perspective as to okay, what going to class should look like. So I started taking my classes seriously, like very, very seriously. So I think that's like a major setback. Of course, people don't feel like it's a major setback. B is not bad. I mean, I wish I had B's, but I tell you, B is in mathematics was a major setback for me. Also, I had an E also. Yes,
Yeah.
I had an E in
Mathematics.
part
Oh
three.
no,
In
no
part three. No,
mathematics.
I mean, the only BE I had in maths was in part one first semester. All my other, I mean, mathematics courses, I had he, or all of them, and good he's. All right, but I had an E in the programming course. That also I learned my lesson. So such that in the course, it was usually programming, like past question, and that was the time I stopped. I mean, for a long time, even as a student, I didn't really rely on past questions. I didn't know past questions, but that time, the trend is it's practical. It's practical. The coding course, the programming course, they take us to the lab and all of that. So I was practicing programming. Exam came. We were seeing the science, we did not believe. Exam came, it was theoretical. In the exam hall, I knew that John, I mean, you messed up. And of course, I had certain knowledge from God. God's people said, John, why not take you? I mean, just read the material, just a little. No, don't read it more, just read a little. But I was like, no, now, why would things change now? I mean, this is, past three, I've seen you know, they don't usually deviate from the trend. There's a trend that, in the past is theory. So that's the theory this time. There's a trend in the past. But I learned my lessons the hard way. And in the exam mode, I had to just I came out, I wrote what I could write. I used my practical knowledge to answer theoretical questions. You know how that would fit was kind of difficult, but I still managed to finish it.
So that's you. You managed to finish that bit. God saved you. I mean, that was a setback for you. And I mean, you don't even need to tell us maybe you recovered from the setback because I mean, the testament is clear that you did recover from the setback and you graduated well. I mean, God did, really, God really did. And also, I want to ask you that was there anything that you did that is just because of academics? I mean, I was watching a podcast recently of like the girls that graduated in Unilag, like the first class, that they had first class and they were all female. in like mass communication. So we're asking them questions that what did they do? Like what was the commitment or like the what they deny themselves of, like so some said relationship, some said like they didn't venture into. What was your own, like can you share like what one thing that you deprived yourself from, not because it's bad but because this thing will really like it can cheat my focus. What was that thing? What was those things that you
Wow, that's a very, very, very interesting question. Um, how do I start? Actually, for me, it was a part. I'm a computer engineering student. Look at me, computer engineering, right? So it means that I have to know programming, right? At the very least, I have to know programming. I have to practice programming well, right? But not I didn't really practice that much because there was no time. Like, I mean, I mean, the decision actually happened during as well with student work experience program. I think our part and myself was studying us. And of course, I did learn programming on campus, but I did not learn it to the extent of becoming employable. Yeah, tech bro. Yeah, that's the word. I'm becoming employable skills, right? I learned it, but I didn't learn it to that point. I didn't learn to the point of not coming to classes. So I had colleagues that learned it to the point of not coming to classes. Learned to the point of school is
building out family?
building out. Yeah, some people had cars.
Okay, cars.
Some people got to the point of school is not really. What are you guys doing? Right? The only time you see them is doing tests or exam, GC. So I didn't learn to that point. So I think that money making, oh, let's make money, be a tech bro, and all. I had to give that up in part two. I mean, when I look back, sometimes I feel, I should have, all right. But I knew that with my schedule, it was going to be almost impossible. I mean, my laptop those days was always lying helplessly. I just picked it up and oh, I still need program, I still I need part of it. I just during the breaks I go back to it and refresh my memory of things that I've learned before. But to do it full scale during school days was very, very, very hard. And I had to like drop that tech bro side. And of course, I mean, I'm done with school, and that was the advice.
You know, tech bro.
Yeah,
Oh, tech bro.
I'm doing my tech bro thing.
Tech
Yeah.
bro.
So I think that was the advice from part of the people what were part to that. Actually, you can actually chill for a while. Focus on this. Do it on this side. Don't let it disturb your academics. And when you're done, go full scale. And yes, that's what I'm doing.
No, you're doing full scale.
Full
Which
scale.
part of the tech are you focusing?
I'm actually focusing on machine learning and
I
AI.
don't know what that is, but I'll check that. Alright,
Alright.
so back to the question. I want to ask you, okay, what advice? I mean, freshmen now that they'll be watching this, even not maybe freshmen, maybe part students that they still hope for their CGPA. What advice are you going to give to them? And by the way, when I say there's still hope for their CGPA, there's still hope for anybody's CGPA. Like there is you might not really believe, but I believe in supernatural and like a lot can happen, even if you are in bad form. Probably I'm talking to myself. Alright, so what advice can you give to like freshman that wants to be like yo, anybody that is watching this that literally got motivated by your experience, by your commitment to the things of God? Because I mean there's no hiding point. Everybody knows that Pastor John is coming. And I guess everybody was surprised when they saw that Pastor John is CGS. What advice are you going to give to them?
I think the first maybe I would like to like divide it into two parts, maybe for freshers and for people that are already on campus, they've tasted campus, they've seen how it is, and their mind is already made up. Now we start from that their mind is already made up. Their mind is made up that this way is too tough, it's impossible, I can't achieve much here. And I think my counsel is that please trust God. God can do the impossible. Right? God can help you. Like that thing of bringing yourself to the point where you acknowledge that God is your source of help. People feel like, oh, God is interested in my spiritual life. Oh, wants me to pray, wants me to study, wants me to worship, wants me to go to church, wants me to serve in a subgroup like on campus, wants me to be committed, but he doesn't really care about my academics. Just want me to figure it out on my own. But that's not true. I found that by experience that it's not true. That God is actually interested in every part of your life. So I think the first thing we want to do is please trust God. Please trust God. Just raise your hand and say, I can't help myself. Come boldly to your Father. He loves you. He knows you. He wants to give you the best. He says, give me everything you have gift to your children. He says, our Father in heaven will give to us, right? Because He loves us. His intention about us. He gave us His only begotten Son that we can imagine. So I think that's the first thing that you must know and you must recognize as someone who is at the point of, oh, is this for you possible? I mean, look at people look at people around, right? People
Look at
did
people, look at
people
person.
did it, right? People did it on campus, and also the people that also give it. And I had a friend, I won't mention names, I won't say too much details. And of course, it's actually two persons that I think in part three just changed their mind. This thing is going to change. So they're actually two first class graduates in my department, me and that other person. So she told me, I think she finished with 4.53. And this person was always
First class,
yeah,
4.5.
4.5.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think 4.53 around that very good. Yeah. So I was like, okay. And when I saw it, I just started to look back at what was she doing? What was she doing? She did things differently in part three. And she just said, John, what are you reading now? I mean, sometimes she's motivating me because she'll come and ask me questions. John, have you read this part? Like, until where did you get there now? I'm still on this part. So because of her sometimes, I had to read ahead of class. And because she always had a question to ask. When you see her reading, it's as though she just had this change of mind that I'm going to have the first class. She just made up her mind, alright? And so it's that thing that Christians we can do as believers. We can do it, alright? We can believe God for the impossible, alright? I mean, you can believe God for the impossible. You can trust that God can help you. You can make up your mind. Also, not just in my department. I mean, two first class graduates. The other person was someone who just, thought in her heart, I can do this, and she did. I mean, she had 3 awards in the faculty, where that's an impressive one. Right? So also was only in electric engineering. I think in part three, just more serious. Motivation. I mean, I think we call it 4.8, 4.8. I think I had a 4.8, right? In electronics and electrical engineering. That's a big deal in that department. So I think for people that are almost giving up, there's still right. There is right.
The supernatural.
The supernaturals, yeah, supernaturals. I mean, the supernaturals for me was always that I was directed. I just knew what to do. Like it's just that knowing of what to do, how to study, when to study, right? How to approach the questions. I mean, I can't forget the day that I was in church. They gave us an assignment in class, and I had to go to church, and of course, I spent about 6 hours in church.
Pastor.
So my friend had been solving. I came back, made them solve the question. Okay, see that hard? I slept.
Oh, wow.
Woke up 1 a.m. Woke up 1 a.m. that night. And I took the note. I checked the question. And what did I do? I picked up my pen and I could see where they were struggling. It was not like nobody spoke inside my ears or told me that so this people will be struggling. Like I saw it that this is where the struggle is coming from. I approached the question. In 30 minutes I saw the question. Oh guys, what's up? I think I figured it out, right? And are you sure? And I told them where I think they were struggling. And they actually agreed that, hey Joe, that's where we're struggling. It's that kind of direction I'm talking about. God can direct you. So that's for people that are already, and of course it will be useful for freshmen too. For freshmen, don't give ears to things that will not help you. Alright? OE is not hard. Right? So don't give ears to things that will not help you as a freshman. As a freshman, you want to know, filter the things you hear. Don't listen to everything. I tell you, one of the experiences I had was in part 1 here, vectors, MTH 104. That course is, it's funny. It's on like every other course that we did as a student in math department. And but the first class, there's this thing I always had as a student was that if it's hard, I can't do it. Like, it's not impossible. It can be hard, but it's not impossible. If someone had an E, I can have an E, right? If someone didn't have an E, I can be the record breaker and I will have an E. So that kind of mind had been there since junior secondary school when I wanted to pick up further maths. The reason I picked up further maths was because my dad's friend came to our house and said, John, have you heard of further maths? He said, yes. He said it's hard. My son is even struggling with it. I said, hey, that's why I like further maths. That's why I was
Like hard stuff.
Yes, like, it's just that I feel like it's not impossible. It's possible. Like, if it's a course is for the taking, like you can take it up, you can be serious about it and do something about it. So for the freshman, know who you listen to. It's possible. OAU is possible. Right? Nobody's after you like, oh, they're after you to fail you. There's just this kind of mind that, oh, my lecturers are after me to fail. No, actually, they're after
lives. That's slang. They're not after my life. They're after our lives.
So
their lives.
Their lives. So it's a thing that you must reconfigure your mind, right? Believe that it's possible, right? Listen to the right things. Yes, temporal setbacks doesn't mean that you are doomed for failure. There are people that are not only on this campus. I mean, for instance, I was not the best student in secondary school, right? In my class,
Oh, really?
I was almost there. I never got a prize, one prize
Bless
in my
God.
second yeah, no, let's go, right? I never got no prize in my secondary school. There was a lady
Oh
that would
wow.
pack 13.
BGS. Secondary school. Wow.
So there was this that would pack 13 awards and she would go with 13 awards, but I never had one. So for freshmen, don't say, oh, there's nothing good that can come out of it. Actually, in this space, if you commit your heart to it, God can help you too. So please listen to the right things. Pay attention to the right things. Trust God for you. Raise your hands and say, God, help me. Alright.
And so God help me. So like finally, and before I say like the finally, Pastor mentioned something that he was his classmate was like struggling with something, and what he did was that he slept. But sometimes that you have to sleep, follow God, even in the storming sea. God, instead of you having ice bag, sleep. Moral lesson. Like next time, so I will start sleeping. All right. So lastly, I mean, academic Sunday. This is academic Sunday, and it got to me. Little bird told me that you were once a tutor in GSFOAU. So I know a lot of people feel like the big name tutorials are like where they get paid. Like let me pay. What advice are you going to give to people that don't really value GSFOAU tutorials? Like you're feeling like this small people. Pastor, please say a word.
Wow.
for them.
I'll try to like compose my
Yeah.
thoughts and not say too much. I served the GSF tutorials. I attended GSF tutorials and they ended up departing to.
Oh wow.
So I taught physics 101 and 105. And there's one thing that I noticed about GSF tutors is that they are intentional. Like, it's this kind of mind that I mean I did to the extent of holding night classes for my students. They can testify to that. I would fix night classes that we people don't have time during the day, I mean, no problem. Let's meet at night. We go to hall those days, but two I think what one two. We'll go there, spend the night there teaching physics, talking physics, encouraging them. So I think there's one thing that I noticed about GSM people. They're not in it for the money, they're not paying them, right? But there's just this arts that they have that I'm going to help you. Like this result can be replicated. So is that intentionality that we received, of course. We received it first. They helped us. And I mean, they gave us the party. I taught one five for like 2 years before I did another party. Like one person, my son.
It's not in tutorial.
Funny tutorial to take love. And he did it well too. Still had about something. So I think it's that intentionality that people that we have in GSM towards that tutorial. It's very like it's 100. Like it's 100. Yeah, that commitment is there. And also um for me,
What are you going to tell them?
I've missed my thoughts. So yeah, I should be deliberate about yeah, stuff.
They should deliberate about like going for the tutorials and not feeling like because they are not paying.
Yeah, because they're not paying, yes. Because they're not paying, that you should feel like, will they give me the quality I want? No, actually. There was actually a time that a tutorial approached me and they were willing to pay me that I teach. But I said, if they will allow me to teach for free, but like, no. You can't engage your service without paying. Like, you want to pay. I was like, I had a pact, good, sort of, that maybe not do that. So I promised them that I will come consistently. I will teach well. Right? Just let me teach for free. They didn't agree. I mean, if the one sees me today, they were like, this boy, but we wanted to come and listen to our workforce and I was willing to teach for free. Actually. So the fact that, I mean, where did I get that from? GSM tutorials. Right? So GSM tutorials are taught that you could actually teach for free. But people, they make business out of it. So I think sometimes when people like sweet talks, right? This person had this, and of course you want money, right? If you don't sweet talk it, you won't buy. I mean, you will not patronize them. So it's a thing that we may not sweet talk ours, but quality is there, and we put our quality guys.
It's evident.
Yeah, there's evidence.
This is a product.
There's evidence that yeah, I went to tutorials and I taught
Maybe
tutorials.
Alright, thank you so much, Pastor.
Thank you.
Like I'm really grateful for the privilege, and so was anybody like to watch this. And also, for the record, I mean, Pastor will not be able to answer like a lot of questions on your mind, and you literally, if you're interested in checking in depth of how you went through on campus, he's currently doing a challenge on LinkedIn where he shared his experience as a student. Trust me, it's like a gist that are probably not here before. Maybe his friends are bad people, but just in case you can come to the club. So we are going to drop the link at the description below, please. I should not even be begging you, but please do well to like check and like be consistent with the challenge. I'm definitely sure it's gonna bless you. Bye, guys.